Could an S&P 500 index ETF drop to $0? There are a few ETFs that track the S&P 500 index, such as SPY and VOO. The S&P 500 index tracks the 500 largest public companies listed on the US stock exchanges. You're probably familiar with some of these companies: Apple, Amazon, Tesla, Visa, Pfizer, PepsiCo, Disney, and a lot more big brands. With an ETF that tracks the 500 largest companies, it would sound unlikely an S&P 500 index ETF would go to zero. As I'm making this video, the SPDR S&P 500 Index ETF, SPY, is priced at about $400 per share. So could that price drop all the way down to $0? Theoretically, yes. An S&P 500 Index ETF can technically drop to zero, but the odds of that happening are very, very slim. The S&P 500 could drop to $0, but it likely won't. There are a few reasons why that's the case. First, the S&P 500 Index ETF tracks the S&P 500 Index, so the index itself would have to drop to $0. And for the S&P 500 Index to drop to $0, every single company that the index is made up of would also have to drop to zero. That means Apple, Microsoft, Netflix, Coca-Cola, Meta, and every other large company would have to all drop to zero. Tap that dislike button if you think all those companies will drop to zero. Another reason is that the S&P 500 index tracks the 500 largest US companies. That means if one company in the S&P 500 index were to drop to zero, the 501st largest US company would take its place as number 500, and so forth down the ranking. There are over 7,000 public companies listed in US stock exchanges. A company in the S&P 500 can and has gone to zero. That's not something unheard of. But it was then replaced by the next largest company. The only way the S&P 500 index will go to zero is if every single public company listed in US exchanges also go to zero. And I've said this plenty of times, if that were to ever happen, we would have much bigger problems than losing our money. That would practically mean the whole world would have gone to hell. The Civil War, both World Wars, the Cold War, the Spanish flu, the Great Depression, the Great Recession, or even this pandemic has never made every company drop to zero at once. Remember, theoretically, it's possible for the S&P 500 index to drop to zero, thus an S&P 500 index ETF dropping to zero. But a lot of things will have to go wrong at such a scale that the world is probably ending. So over the long run, an S&P 500 index ETF like SPY and VOO are one of the safest places to grow your money. So what are your thoughts? Are ETFs a good way to invest? Comment below. And as always, take care of your money.